Good evening, folks. Hi, my name is Brian. Welcome back to IndianPeaksWeather.net. And currently, right now, it's 37 degrees here in Netherlands on a Sunday night at 8,200 feet. And that's very warm for early November. Today's high was up in the upper 50s. In fact, I think we got close to 57 degrees. Beautiful day. Saw lots of people out and about today working on their houses. Some horseback riders went by. Some people went jogging by with their dogs and their babies. So everybody's outdoors today enjoying yet another spectacular Colorado weekend. And again, look at the calendar, it's November 8th, but it feels like it's late September. And our low this morning, we didn't even get below freezing last night, 33 degrees. Currently, right now, the winds are from the southwest, fairly light, 2 miles per hour with a few gusts up to 10 miles per hour. Not breezy by any standard up here in Netherlands. And today was dry. There was 100th reported by my gauge, but that was just some melting snow from a few days ago. We had been pretty chilly up until today. Looking across the region right now, on the Weather Underground map, the Wonder map, pretty consistent temperatures across the board right now. You can see temperatures generally in the 30s everywhere. And then some places on the plains are actually colder than we are up here right now. And the reason for that is there was some cooler air entrenched down the plains. And right now, they're not being affected. You can see a lot of stations are reporting calm conditions. They're not being affected by the winds like we are. So they're radiating. And with a dry atmosphere, you can radiate pretty quickly. We call it radiative cooling. An inversion is setting up where some locations down there will be colder than we are tonight. But I think that'll change. I think these are about as cold as it's going to get on the plains tonight. As the southwesterly winds begin to scour out that cold air, they'll probably start warming up as well towards sunrise. All right, well, let's get right into the forecast here because we have a lot going on the next couple days, especially Tuesday night. And we're going to start off with the short range model first. And I'll just go back to the beginning here. I was looking at it a little bit earlier. So here we are on the North American model. It goes out to 84 hours. And we're going to start off with what we call the 1,500 millibar thickness chart with the sea level surface pressure. These dark lines are sea level surface pressure. And the thickness lines, these are thickness lines, the red dash lines and the blue dash lines. And the thing to remember with these thickness lines is they roughly are equivalent to temperature in the atmosphere. So the lower the value on the thickness, in this case 516, 488, the colder the air mass is underneath there. And then the warmer the thickness value, or the higher the thickness value, 546 up to 564, generally the warmer the air is beneath there. And as everything else in meteorology, there's sometimes exceptions to that. But it's a good rule of thumb. And it gives us an idea of what's going on in our current weather situation. Notice over the Pacific Northwest into Northern California, we have some colder air beginning to push into that area. And I'll actually go in here and draw that. You can see these lower thickness values, these blue lines, the blue dash lines, starting to push into the Pacific Northwest and Northern California. There is an area of low pressure, this L right here. And remember, in the Northern Hemisphere, winds circulate counterclockwise around low pressure areas. So what's going on here right now? Well, we have a weak surface pressure system. This is pulling in warmer air ahead of it, and that's over us. We're right here in Netherlands. Behind it, it's pulling in cooler air. So low pressure areas act to mix the atmosphere. And oftentimes when you're east of a low pressure area, you're getting warm air advection, warmer air pulled into your area. And we see these southwest winds that we're having tonight. That's why we're having these southwesterly winds. Behind a low pressure system, it tends to pull in cooler air on northerly winds. In addition to that, in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, there's a trough with quite a bit of energy in it. And that's resulting in lift, which is helping to enhance precipitation over the northwest and also down into Northern California, producing some snow around Lake Tahoe. And California needs it. That whole area needs it. You remember, they've had drought for several years now, and they've had some major fires this past summer. So any moisture they get is welcome. Of course, if it's snow, it's better because snow helps to build up their water supply. All right. So let's step forward in time a little bit and see how this weather situation evolves. Go here, and we'll go to Monday evening. Not much of a change for us. We're still under this warm ridge of air here. No precipitation whatsoever. I do expect as this low pulls up to our north, northwest, that the southwesterly winds will continue over the next 24 hours or so, helping to pull in even some warmer air as well. But not much in the way of humidity though, as it's coming out of the southwest here in the desert areas. This storm continues to produce precipitation over the Pacific Northwest and Northern California as well. Then as we get into Tuesday, we'll go right to midday Tuesday, things start to get a little bit more interesting. You can see that this whole storm system begins to push our way. Again, here we are in Nederland, Colorado, right about there. And you begin to get the hint of what we call lee side cyclone genesis. It's a big word that basically means a storm forming to the east side of the Rockies on the eastern plains of Colorado or far western Kansas or southwestern Nebraska. Basically this area right here. And you can see a low forming just over eastern Colorado right there. Pretty good temperature gradient. Now, one of the things you can pick out with these thickness lines is where the temperature gradients are and where the fronts are. See this? How closely packed together these lines are? And they're going from high, warm, to low, cold. So there is a cold front in there. Fairly weakly defined, but there is a cold front in there. And the same thing up here. Notice again the temperature gradient, the packing of these thickness lines. And remember the circulation around a low pressure area is like this, counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. That's likely a warm front up here. Okay. You can learn a lot about these thickness lines, and where there's packing, there tends to be fronts, and there tends to be lift, and there tends to be precipitation, or at least enhanced chances of precipitation. All right. Let's step forward a little bit more in time here. And as we get into Wednesday evening, we see this area of low pressure starting to really develop. And we're expecting this storm to actually rapidly intensify sometime late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And that has some big implications for the weather across eastern Colorado, southeastern Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas in the terms of snow, wind, and perhaps even blowing snow, blizzard conditions over eastern Colorado. The models are differing a little bit in where the most precipitation will fall. The North American model, at least as of this evening, is saying most of it's going to fall over southeastern Wyoming, Cheyenne. That area could really get a walloping out of the storm if the NAM verifies. I'm not really expecting a lot of snow for us in the Front Range here. My main concern is going to be wind. And look at how quickly this storm intensifies here. 996 millibar low. That's bombing, what we call in weather speak. It's rapidly intensifying. These pressure lines are really tight across eastern Colorado. If any snow does fall in the eastern plains down here, it'll get blown around. If you've ever been on the eastern plains of Colorado, there's no trees, there's nothing. There's a few farms, a few homesteads, that's it. Nothing to stop the winds, or if the winds pick up the snow, from blowing it, reducing visibilities, and making travel really difficult. Again, it looks like most of the precipitation is actually going to be over southeastern Wyoming according to the NAM. But the winds are going to be intense across all of eastern Colorado, including the foothills. That's something that we need to keep in mind. As we step into Wednesday, the key thing is there are certain things we look for when we're looking for a big snowstorm here in Nederland. The storm has to be relatively slow moving. We need a good upslope flow. That is winds from the east through a pretty deep layer of the atmosphere, and we need lots of moisture. Now, this storm is very fast moving, so X that one off the list. And the winds aren't going to be very favorable for us either. They're going to be generally from the north or slightly to the north-northwest, so you can X that off the list too. Lots of dynamics with this storm. So the dynamics alone could produce a period of heavier precipitation even here in Nederland, but it probably won't last more than 2 or 3 hours on Tuesday night. It looks like the better chance of heavy precipitation would be out in the plains. And again, with these winds, this is a very, very strong storm system. That would easily get picked up and blown around. I would not be surprised to see 76, 81, 70, closed for a little while just because of reduced visibility due to blowing snow. Okay. By the time we get into late Tuesday evening, it's all over. It's out of here. Look how quickly that moves. It's already up into Iowa. So a very fast-moving storm system. It's going to be a quick hit, but potentially a hard hit for somebody in the eastern part of Colorado up into southeastern Wyoming. And it's still 48 hours away. Lots of time for things to change in the models. I'm going to go back and look at the total precip forecast on the NAM. See if I can find it. There it is. We'll go through 84 hours. And you can see that I clicked on the wrong thing. That's what you can see. All right, let's go back here. All right, 84 hours. There you go. Total precipitation. Not looking really good for us here in Nederland, right about there. In fact, there's a dry slot here due to downsloping off the mountains because the winds aren't going to be favorable. Lots of precipitation up here in southeastern Wyoming, in the Cheyenne area. You're looking at 1.5 inches of liquid equivalent. Some of that will probably be rain in the beginning, but a lot of it will be snow. There's a lot of cold air with this system. That cold air is going to filter in very quickly. So that could be a significant weather situation for that area. Combined with the winds, you could be looking at a serious blizzard. Looking at the GFS, take a look at the precipitation total for 84 hours for that model. A little bit different, yeah, quite a bit different. And this is what makes the job of a weather person, a meteorologist, so frustrating, is just the differences in the numerical model output. Same time period, same model initialization, and quite a bit less precipitation. Look at this, nothing in southeastern Wyoming, barely anything for us in here in Nederland, maybe a 1/4 inch liquid, which might translate into 3-4 inches of snowfall. But it also has a storm bombing out over the same area, so winds will continue to be a factor no matter which model you look at. All right. One last thing to look at here real quick is the sounding, and I chose the North American model for this. This is 12Z Wednesday. Look at this. This is pretty impressive. Regardless of whether we get a lot of snow up here, we're going to get a lot of wind. The hodograph shows winds from the northwest. So draw a line from the 0 there down to the 1 here. That's 1 kilometer up into the atmosphere. Of over 60 knots. Oh, about 65 miles per hour, 66 miles per hour. Maybe even hurricane force winds. Probably a little bit stronger even. So it's going to be windy as all get go when the storm comes through. So lots of uncertainty in this forecast, but the things I am fairly confident about right now are it's going to be a fast moving storm. It's not a favorable storm for a big snowfall for us, and we're going to get a lot of wind. And this is the Weather Underground forecast here, calling for 3 to 5 inches of snow Tuesday. You can see that they have it starting about 3 p.m. and over by about 6 a.m. Wednesday morning. Very short period of snow. Could snow very heavily for 2 or 3 hours. Lots of dynamics with this system. Really depends on where that upper low is going to track with this system. If it tracks a little bit further to the south and it cuts off a little bit earlier, get a little more easterly flow, a little more dynamics, we could get a quick burst of 6 to 8 inches of snow. Right now, the way things are looking, I'm thinking it's going to be more of a 2 to 4 incher for us. That's probably being optimistic, but windy as heck Wednesday morning for Veterans Day and cold. Look at the high on Wednesday, and I think that's right on 26 for high. And that very well could be the high at midnight Wednesday, with temperatures generally in the low to mid 20s during the whole day. Short-lived cold air outbreak. We're already back into the mid 40s by the weekend, according to Weather Underground, with no precipitation. So stay tuned. I'll try to do a few more updates over the next day or so as this situation evolves. It's been looking fairly consistent now for a few days, and the models are roughly in agreement of where the storm system will be. It's just a matter of where the heavy precipitation is going to fall. The NAM verifies southeastern Wyoming is going to have one heck, I should say, heck of a blizzard. Well, anyway, have a good night, and we'll talk soon.